G7 stop short of calling for ceasefire as support for Israel's offensive erodes. Here's what you need to know. The Group of Seven, G7, foreign ministers on Wednesday voiced support for humanitarian pauses in Gaza to support aid deliveries, civilian movement, and the release of hostages, but stopped short of calling for a ceasefire. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has escalated his opposition to a ceasefire in Gaza, saying those calling for an immediate ceasefire have an obligation to explain how to address the unacceptable result that would likely bring. The U.S. and G7's rejection of a ceasefire puts them at odds with their Arab counterparts and a growing number of international voices, as support for Israel's military campaign shows deepening erosion. Israel says the goal of the air and ground offensive in Gaza is the complete elimination of Hamas. Here's what else to know. Israeli offensive intensifies. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Israel Defense Forces, IDF troops are at the heart of Gaza City and targeting Hamas infrastructure and commanders there. It comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Tuesday said Gaza City is encircled and the IDF is operating in it and advancing the pressure applied on Hamas every hour and every day. It's unclear based on comments from Netanyahu and Gallant exactly where the IDF is operating inside Gaza. Meanwhile, dozens of civilians evacuated to the southern part of the enclave during a 4-hour window allotted by the IDF on Tuesday. Some people carried white flags, signaling their hope for a safe passage, video shows. 39 journalists killed. At least 39 journalists have now been killed in the Israel-Hamas war, the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ said on Wednesday. In a press release, the CPJ noted that the war has brought about the deadliest month for journalists since the organization began gathering data in 1992. Among those killed, CPJ said that 34 were Palestinian, 4 Israeli, and 1 Lebanese. A further 8 journalists have been injured and 3 are missing, according to CPJ. Aid convoy targeted. The Palestine Red Crescent Society, PRCS, has accused Israel of firing on an aid convoy operated by the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, on Tuesday. The ICRC on Tuesday said that its convoy had come under fire, but did not apportion blame. 2 trucks were damaged in the attack and a driver sustained minor injuries, the ICRC said. CNN has reached out to the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, but they have not commented on the incident. North Gaza's dwindling supplies. All bakeries in northern Gaza have been forced to close due to shortages of vital supplies, a United Nations agency said Wednesday. Desperate civilians have been struggling to access the daily staple of bread under Israel's ongoing military offensive. In a daily update, the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said no bakeries were active in the north due to the lack of fuel, water, and wheat flour, as well as the damage sustained by many. Gaza death toll. About 74% of the 10,515 people killed in Gaza since October 7 are children, women, and the elderly, the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Ramallah said in a report Wednesday, drawing from sources in the Hamas-controlled enclave. It's unclear how many combatants are included in the total. UNICEF spokesperson James Elder has defended the accuracy of the death toll numbers being reported out of Gaza, saying the organization's numbers closely align with that of the Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health in the enclave. The Israel Defense Forces said it extended the window for an evacuation corridor from northern Gaza to the south by 1 hour. IDF spokesperson Avichai Audrey said on X, formerly known as Twitter, that the corridor would now close at 3 p.m. local time, 8 a.m. ET instead of 2 p.m. local time. Some context. The IDF announced earlier Wednesday that a 4-hour window was in place for Gazans to evacuate down Salah Eden Street, which serves as one of the 2 primary highways in Gaza, linking the north to the south. The IDF has repeatedly called on civilians to move south of Wadi Gaza as it intensifies its assault on Hamas in Gaza City and northern Gaza. 43 Ukrainian citizens have been evacuated from Gaza, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, on Wednesday. The citizens are now safe in Egypt, where Ukrainian diplomats are providing them with the necessary assistance. he added. Zelensky also described Ukraine's involvement in the evacuation of 36 citizens of Moldova. "We are glad to help our friendly neighbor," he said. The president said further evacuation operations are ongoing. "Our embassies in Israel and Egypt, as well as other relevant agencies, are working hard to get more of our citizens out of Gaza," he said.